As the commissioner said, my name is John O'Grady by the city of Deltona to help work through some issues in different departments, and code enforcement is one of them. And this is our second round of town hall. The first round was for code enforcement specific, and then code enforcement has a couple roles. They do code enforcement, they do solid waste, and they do animal control. And as you'll see as we go along, that is a national best practice that they were already doing. This meeting will be specific, as the commissioner said, to animal control and the animal control officers, and one of the programs that we have is the TNR program. So the mission of the code enforcement officer and the animal control officer is compliance. That is our main focus, is compliance. It's the health and safety of the animals that are within the city. Who are the code enforcement officers? They're your city employees. And one of the things I want you to look at when the supervisors come up here and speak and introduce themselves, they're going to give you their years of service. And you'll see that there are a lot of years of service here. And that is an indicator, of a person who likes their job and who's fulfilled in performing those duties. And that's important as we go along. What the animal control officers do is they enforce the state statutes and the city ordinances as passed by the city commission. The primary focus, once again, is the prevention for animal neglect and cruelty, going for compliance through education and information to the citizens out there. So on our first response, education, information. Second response, we have to take it to the next step, and that's what they'll end up talking about. So I'd like to first introduce Supervisor Gibson.
Good evening. My name is Mark Gibson. I'm currently one of the two supervisors for the city of Deltona, animal control and code enforcement and solid waste. I started with the city in 1998 as a permit clerk, and as of now, I'm currently supervisor. What I'm going to try to do is give you a brief history of our animal control. As most of you know, we were incorporated in 1995. So the residents wanted a higher level of government service in the community. Well, the city established its own animal control unit in 1997. So the city, utilizing best practices, combined animal control with code enforcement in 2004. This allowed the department to provide a more efficient service for the residents of Deltona. Our staffing history. As you can see, in 1997, we only had 2 animal control officers for a population of 57,000 people. Now, you'll notice that there's an increase in animal control officers in 2008. Well, if you remember, I told you back in 2004, they combined animal control and code enforcement, so that's what gave you the increase in animal control officers. But keep in mind that, that you'll see a decrease coming in 2010, because in 2008, we had the recession. So we're currently staffed right now with 12 officers, and the population is now, as you can see, is up to 94,000. So what I'm going to do is have Danny Ron come up here today and finish this portion of the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everybody. My name is Danny Ron. I am the customer service supervisor for the department, Building and Enforcement Services. If you happen to call City Hall to put a complaint in, that's the department I'm in charge of. Our dispatcher for animal control, she's actually here, and one of the presenters, her name is Patty Mullins. I've been with the city since 2003. I was in their shoes, animal control code enforcement officer for 15 years, in the last two for the current position. My first slide has numbers. We've been using this for the code enforcement and also now for the animal control. As you can see, animal complaints is the third most calls that we get for in our department. It did go down from 19 to 2020, and that could have been, I'm thinking is because more people were home, you know. A lot of times the calls that we get is during the daytime when the homeowners are not home, they're at work, kids are at school, and the dogs, they're out there running around. So those numbers went down, but everybody's back at work this year. I'm sure those numbers are going to go back up. But it is the third top on the list for code enforcement response. These are some of the categories we, as animal control officers, deal with. Animal at large, you know, the loose dogs, nuisance animals, cruelty cases, found animals, prohibited animals, deceased animals, wellness checks. And some of these we'll cover a little further down in the presentation. Now, how does a responsive city government provide animal control services for the benefit of the entire community? Being reactive and proactive. Reactive, there's many ways to put a complaint in through our department so we can start a cold case. On the left-hand side are all those different methods. Our main one is our phone calls. Our phone is pretty busy all day long. I have to cover Patty when she's not available, and that phone is nonstop. 386-878-8701, it's the number. Also, we have an app. You can use it in Android or iPhone users. It's Deltona My 311. That's another method. We have a city website. Throughout the city website, different locations on there, so you can put a complaint in or question, and it definitely gets routed to us. We also have an email. It's acontrol@deltonafl.gov. Within the last couple of years, we have a Facebook page now that the officers, they post their found dogs, animals on that page. And this is it. Lost Animals of City of Deltona. Now, once they do pick up the animals, we're hoping by the time we make that trip, you know, in that afternoon, homeowners, friends, family that recognize the dog can call us. That way we return the dog before we make that trip. Other things we do check once we do pick up the animal, you know, we take the photos, but all the trucks have scanners. They'll scan that dog and hoping, that pet, hopefully there is a chip on the body of that animal. And I'm hoping the information on that chip is current, because a lot of times we get excited when we find a chip, but when we start researching it, the information is not correct or is never updated, which is, you know, the stuff is there, let's hopefully people use it. We added this to the slide, but yes, walk-ins. We do get walk-ins to the City Hall to put complaints in, and we'll definitely take them. Another proactive. The officers are already out in the field. They're already out in the community. If they notice a violation, they'll stop, start a case, and address the violation while they're out in the field. Some of the calls that we receive that you might not see on that one side is aggressive dogs. We definitely want to contain these animals. When we do get the calls, we'll make that a priority. We definitely want nobody getting bitten. But if there was somebody did get bit, there's added procedures we have to do that. All bites to humans get reported to the Volusia County Health Department, and we place that pet under 10-day quarantine. We deal with nuisance animals, a lot of snake calls here in Florida, and it goes by seasons. We do get, sometimes we have to deal with alligators. We only could take care of the small ones. If there's anything larger than, I believe, 4 feet, correct? We'll call the experts, Florida Wildlife Commission. They'll send a trapper to assist us with that nuisance alligator. Animal cruelty. It could be a no water, no proper shelter kind of case. It might not take that long, or it could be a serious case, neglect, not adequate medical attention when it's required, those kind of things. We definitely address those. Basic notice that we leave on the, at the property if the homeowner's not there is a door hanger. Some of the top basic complaints, we'll list them with the reinspection date, and we're hoping by the time we come back in, for that reinspection, the violation has been taken care of. We prepared a flow chart, kind of give you an idea of how a case will start and, and throughout the process. I'll say the most basic one, like the ones we get most of the day, is animal alarm, dog loose. If we get the complaint, we'll dispatch an officer over the radio. We'll enter the case. That will have the information in the computer system when they arrive. So look at the notes. They arrived on scene. They might not see the dog, and the dog might be already home. So they'll close out the case. That's one one. Next one, let's just say they did find the dog. We'll try to impound. Hopefully we can impound. We'll impound that dog. We'll take a picture of the dog. We'll scan it to a chip. So hopefully we have that information on there for the homeowner. And just keep it with us, and hopefully we can return that dog before the end of the day when we make that trip. Let's just say we don't. It will go to our local Humane Society. We have 2 contracts. New Hope in the Land, which is a smaller facilities, but the main one we use is up in Daytona, which is Halifax Humane Society. So we're hoping we find the owners. Let's just say we did find the owners, sometime during the daytime. If there's no issues with the dog, we'll return the dog with no problems. Let's just say we did find an issue. Let's just say maybe licensing, vaccination. None of that information was on the dog, on the collar. We'll do a follow-up. We'll say we'll put it out for 7 days, as that's the basic time to give, unless they needed more time, and we'll work with them. We'll go back then after that reinspection date, and hopefully it's been corrected. If it's just licensing or vaccination, or even a visit to the medical doctor, because maybe we've seen something that might be an issue with the pet. We want to make sure that's being taken care of. If it's not taken care of one time, we go back to do that follow-up. We can continue it by either issuing a citation or taking it to the special magistrate. We have some prohibited animals here. We don't allow, a couple of years ago, we did have somebody who had a monkey with a license, but no longer at this time, which is good. Florida Wildlife Commission controls all that. When it comes to, we don't allow wildlife being as pets. We do get calls for deceased animals. We don't put the deceased animal on the vehicle. We don't want to mix in with the live ones. It can cause issues, health issues with them. But we'll dispatch an officer to the location that they provided for the deceased animal if it was a domestic animal, and we'll try to see if it has a collar with tags, check if it has a microchip. If no owner is found, we do refer this to the Waste Pro. We have a contract with Waste Pro to pick up our dead animals throughout the city. All right, Ms. Angela Myers will continue presentation. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angela Meyer. I am Administrative Supervisor for Building and Enforcement Services and hearing clerk for the Special Magistrate. Today I'll be addressing the emergency services that the City of Deltona provide. Our officers answer to emergency calls from 7 p.m. until 7 a.m. Just emergency calls, and animals at large are not considered emergency call unless they are involved in a dog bite or animal bite, and then we need to catch the animal. Also related to injuries, domestic injuries, and to help other agencies like the fire department and the police, and aggressive animals. When it comes to issues that continues without being corrected, some cases of animals are resolved by the special magistrate. One example is nuisance animals. That involves animals that are constantly at large, vicious animals, animals that barks over 15 minutes, disturbing the neighbors, and animals that attack other animals. Then the procedure for those cases are just like all the regular cases on code enforcement that goes through the special magistrate. We also issue civil citations for animals at large, and that is only resolved through to the county court. And also, the county court resolve issues related to cruelty and dog fights. And in all the circumstances, our officers, our animal control officers, focus and provide the highest level of service. So continuing now is going to be Patty addressing the TNR program.
Thank you, Angela. My name is Patty Mullins, and I've been with the city for only about 2 years. So I am the baby of the group. I'm the newbie, and I pick their brains every day. I think I make them kind of crazy. So for years now, we've had a feral cat population that has impacted the cities residing here in Deltona. And I think the main issue here is we have to figure out how we can balance the property owner's rights as well as pet owners' rights. And how do we, as a community, address this by using national best practice standards? I think that's a term that you've heard us kind of tossing around a lot, the best practice standards. And what that means is we're taking a look at how other municipalities and larger cities are dealing with their feral cat issues. It's not just here in Deltona, it's a nationwide issue. So we've been looking at these cities to adopt and implement best practice standards. So we've invested in the TNR program, and it's managed by volunteers. The goal of TNR is to stabilize the feral cat population. City monies fund veterinarian services, but they do not go directly to the volunteers. And the goal is to stabilize that population. So as long as everyone is clear with that, your tax dollars do not go directly to the volunteers. It pays for the veterinary services. Now, our TNR program is currently in the process of a comprehensive audit. We are looking at everything. We recognize that there are many sides to this issue, and that people who take a position either for or against are equally passionate. All sides must be weighed, and a determination will be made based on facts. So moving forward, regarding rules and ordinances, animal control officers do not get to decide how they perform their duties. I think it's key that everyone understand that they follow the lawful direction of their managers, city ordinances, state statutes, city policies, and procedures. Pet owners, they are required to obtain pet licenses for all dogs and cats in the city, and the way to do that is to present a valid vaccination certificate, like a rabies certificate. And also, our city ordinance does require pet owners to spay and neuter their pets. So with that being said, I'd like you to know, as you hear my voice, when you call 386-878-8701 with any kind of animal issue or complaint, my voice is the voice you're going to hear, and I am happy to help you. I do love my job. And with that being said, I'd like to turn it over to Richard Lovett. Thank you.
How you doing? I'm Richard Lovett. I'm one of the Enforcement Services Supervisor, and I've been with the city since 2000. I actually started as an animal control officer, and I was one of the 2 that we had at that point. So when we look at this, and I always say, you always have to look at the past before you can move forward. So when we look at the past, we look at how our numbers we were doing. And every year we had a rising cost in the amount of animals we were taking to Humane Society. And like I always say is, we had a saying back when I started is, you had 10 cats on the truck by 10 a.m. That never slowed down. It always stayed the same. You had more most of the time. So we saw the rising costs. So what do you do to try and find new ways to do that? So that's when the TNR program came along. We started looking at other places we're starting to adopt it. So, and that's why we started to adopt it. We were able to start seeing the effects from it. So looking at this, the TNR benefits. Not only is there benefits in what it's saving us each year in costs to the Humane Societies, it's saving the amount of Humane Society room that they have to be able to put adoptable cats up instead of trying to house more feral cats. So it's not putting an overburden on them like it was the times before. But, and I say this, so every cat-related call takes an officer out of the city for an average of 2 hours. Now, how does that happen? It's a half-hour drive over to Humane Society in Daytona. It's a half-hour drive back. So as we get there, and like I say, if we have one cat on the truck, we don't have a place to take it, we have to go to Humane Society. So if we take it over there, let's just say there's other cities in front of us, we have to wait to unload. If it takes an hour, it takes 2 hours, however long it takes, that officer's just sitting there. There's nothing he can do. He can't jump in line just because he's got one. Everybody else is waiting for their officers to get back in the city just as well. So it's saving our officers time back in the city to be able to work on what they need to work on and being here to respond to calls faster. So, and besides that, if we can keep them from going to Humane Society, that's saving us. That's saving a tremendous amount of money. So the future of animal control. So one of the things that we've looked at when we started looking at not only the TNR program is what else we can do. So we started looking at social media to try and reunite animals to the lost owners. So city went out and invested money into, we put scanners in every truck. Then we gave the officers, all the officers have an iPhone. So that way they can, as soon as they pick up an animal, they snap a picture, put it straight on Facebook, and we try and reunite it as fast as we can. Now, yes, the tags do help, and I will say this, we were able to reunite a dog that we picked up within 2 hours the other day. That's a great turnaround time for that dog being on the truck. But it wasn't his tags. His tags were at home and on his collar where he had slipped out of. It was his scanned chip that we were able to get him by. So yes, the tags are good, but sometimes they slip out. That's why we tell you, scan your animal with a chip, get a chip put into them. It always helps us get back to you. You just have to keep those updated. But we're always looking for new ways and always new avenues. The more we can keep these animals off the truck, the more we reunite them with the owners. You know, because things happen. We want to reunite animals as fast as we can, especially when things do happen. So the future of animal control. So you have to sit there and look at not only what's working elsewhere, national programs, international programs, and everything else like that. You start taking those best practices, what people are looking at, and start trying to figure out how that will work. Well, some of those things do work, but it's without the citizens' input, you don't know what works best for what we need. And that's why we're doing this, to try and get what's the best, what do these citizens need that will help them out in the future. So the idea is we start doing that, we start looking for more partnerships with outreach programs, stuff like that, so we can keep our number of impounds keeping going down. If we can have more ways to keep doing that, we can have more things that we can do for the citizens. All right, like we said earlier, so in 2004, we combined the departments. One department, 3 missions. So why is this such a great thing to do? And I can tell you from being an officer out in the field, I was the only officer out in the field. I went to Humane Society, get a call, an emergency call for aggressive dog. Guess what? I can't come. As soon as I can get loose out of Daytona, I'll be there. Well, it might be a couple hours. So it was, let's cross-train everybody. Let's have more officers. Let's invest in more trucks, have more people here. We have more backup. We have quicker response times. We can do all that by taking these 3 departments and do it into one, because we all do the same thing. We try to get the codes to be followed by the citizens. So by taking these 3 and putting them all into one, it helps us to be able to be more efficient for the citizens. So, and like we said before, we provide 7-day-a-week, 12-hour-a-day service. We do after-hour calls. We do after-hour calls for animal control, and we do that. We're always on call. There's always somebody on call. Even if we're closed for like Christmas Day, there is somebody on call for emergencies at all time. All right? So these are your officers that's out in the field now, and to kind of give you an understanding about them, all of our officers are certified animal control officers. 4 of our officers have more than the required credentials for just coming onto the job, and one of them's a national cruelty investigator. So it's not, these guys are not trained, these guys are trained and they love their job. All right, so with that, I'll turn it back over to Mr. O'Grady for any questions.
So what we'd like to do now is open it up for any questions or comments or anything that we can answer. We want to try to keep it to the 10,000-foot level. So if you have an issue with a neighbor, you can meet with us after and we'll take the address and then we'll follow up on that. But if the issue with a neighbor is a barking dog, we will be glad to answer the barking dog issue now. So if you can, the microphone's right there for anybody who has any comments or questions.
So in general, how do you normally track calls in like that says either A, I saw a dog running down Howland Boulevard, or I found a dog, I'm holding it, but I just wanted to report it to you guys in case the owner calls in reporting it lost, or how does that normally get tracked? And I believe you do not use CAD. You have access to it through the county when they take calls, but it's not something that's used on a daily basis, I believe. But is there ever any conversations about using CAD
I'll let Danny
for
answer that.
enforcement?
No, and we do have a log that Patty keeps track of.
Okay.
At the moment, if we get a call that say, hey, I'm missing my dog, we also have the radio accessible to us. We'll put it out on the radio, hey, anybody pick up? Because sometimes the guys do get busy out in the field.
Right.
And don't get the chance to put the case in that we'll look at the cases through what's been put on for that day. But the best way is communicate with the officers directly. Hey, anybody pick up? They usually want location, and that's what we ask when they ask us if we picked up the dog's location, description, and we'll get that to the office, and hopefully maybe and sometimes the officer already have that dog on the possession.
Right.
We just didn't get the case put in there right away, and we could get that animal back to his owner.
Okay.
But we do keep a log.
Okay.
Yeah, just getting coverage during lunch hours, it gets crazy sometimes, but we'll do better on the log so everybody has access
I think,
to it.
yeah, and that was kind of a one-off a bit, but, and then has there ever been any conversations about maybe using CAD software? Because from what I understand, it's a lot more, a lot better features as far as animal control code and different things. And
So we are looking at different types of software.
Okay.
Both internally, what we have here, and can it work better for us, especially animal control specific, or is there something out there that we probably need to bring to Mr. Peters to make it work? All right, any other questions? Good, Commissioner, do you want to close?
I just want to reiterate and thank you guys for coming out here. You guys have done a great job. As you all know, we're increasing staff. I believe that will be coming over the next year, and that is going to be a great relief because, like they're saying, there's a lot that we don't see, a lot that we think we understand, but one call can take them off the street, and then they get another call. So I'm going to ask everybody to be patient for the next 12 months while we get some new staff in here and we get these things resolved, because it's not an easy solution. You know, I do see a lot of the texts. I'll be straight up, I'm not responding to people on Facebook because of violation of sunshine. So it makes it very difficult when I see something to respond on these applications, because if another commission responds on something, I'm in violation of sunshine. So a lot of times I'm reading these things, I may take a screenshot, forward it over to Mr. Peters, who then forwards it over to these guys. So it's not that your stuff's going on dead ears, it's just a lot of us, you know, we're doing it the correct way and forwarding things over. You guys have the numbers, you've got the website, you have a lot of resources available to you, and I think this staff has presented themselves. They're very friendly looking, and the facade, and, you know, I see things changing, and I just ask you guys to please have some patience as we, you know, get them the assistance as they need and we get the more staff in. And, you know, don't hesitate to send us emails, calls, anything that we can do, you know, to get this process going. I think we're all working towards the same goal here. Anybody have any questions for me? Yes. All right, again, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you guys for coming out. You've done quite a few of these, and you've put your neck out there, and I want to tell you guys thank you, and thank you, Mr. O'Grady, as well. And Mr. Peters.